Yeah, so I thought I'd start really simply with sort of what do you need to register as a pharmacy technician. So you'll obviously need the qualification firstly. So we sort of do there are integrated courses, and there's also two qualifications, which would be a competency based and a knowledge based one. So once you have those and you've completed your 2 years minimum work based experience in the Isle of Man, UK, and Channel Islands, then you'll be all set up ready. If you just continue on to the next slide. So just some useful information here. So the deadline to apply for registration is 5 years from the start of your course or 2 years after the end of your course, whichever comes first. Really important information to know, because whilst there is no deadline for you to apply to the register, you can send in your application at any point once you've completed your qualifications. You do need to keep in mind these dates because obviously it's really important that you're registered in time and that you're up to date with all of your knowledge. And then once you're doing obviously your revalidation, your knowledge is always up to date. So that's a really important thing to be aware of. The application to register as a technician, there's obviously two parts to it. So one is an online upload of your documents, which you would do through your My GPhC, and the other is sending those hard copy of documents into our offices for us. That's what we will process in the registration team. I have a little bit more on that in the next slide. So there's quite a lot of complexities to the registration application, but I've tried to keep the steps really simple into sort of what you do and what we do at the GPhC. So what you would be needing to do as a pharmacy technician would be to create your My GPhC account when you're coming up or have completed your qualification. And then reviewing the guidance and other useful documentation, both on our website, all of that's available on our website, to identify which documents you need for your situation. There are so many different situations that people have, whether you're born in the UK, born outside of the UK, if your documents are in English, all of these different things are complexities that you need to consider when you're reading through that guidance. So really important to have a read through that. And we always have our contact centre, and that can give really useful advice about all of that. Once you've identified what you need to do, you then have your online application countersigned by a pharmacist or a technician. And that's really important to get that done in good time to make sure that your application is all going really smoothly and that you're going to be on the register for when you need to be. Having a scan of your documents is so important because you need to upload that online application. And then once that's all uploaded, you can pay the application fee of 114 and send your hard copy documents into our office. And that's sort of the bulk of your part of that application process completed once you've done that. And then on the what we do section, on the next slide. So this is a what we do section. So we begin processing application within 28 days of receipt into our offices. And one of the first things we'll do when we go to process your application is we check that your name appears on the pass list from your course provider. Not There are a couple courses that don't provide pass lists to us directly, so we do still need the certificates for that for those few people, but that's all available. But for the bulk of people, we'll be using the pass list to identify that you've completed your qualifications. And then there's sort of two ways this application can go. So if all your documents are correct and your application is complete, then it will be approved by the registration team, and then you'll be able to pay the first registration fee of £130, and that will be all done through your My GPhC portal, and you'll be able to join the register on the next registration date. The registration dates are the 1st and the 15th of every month, all year, all 12 months. So there's no specific deadline that you need to send your application in. It would just be keeping in mind the 28 days. So if you want to be on the register for the 1st of November, for example, we'd aim to get your application in at the start of October to give that 28 days processing time. The other kind of route this could go is if we process your application and maybe we need an additional document or we need some clarification from yourselves, we would send you an email, and then once we receive the additional requested documents or information, so whether that be via email or we request something to be sent additionally into our office to be added to your application, once that's received and all your documents are now complete, again, you'll be able to pay the registration fee of 130 and you'll be on the register for the next registration date. And the next slide. So this is my last slide. I just wanted to go through some key points about what could delay registration. There's a few important things to discuss here. So, firstly, if you don't submit your online application, and post all your supporting documents at least 28 days before. So, if you aim to be on the register for the first of the month and you get it in on the 15th of the month, it may not be processed for the first. It's more likely to be processed for the 15th of the next month. So, just keeping that in mind, always to be really prepared and get everything you can in as early as possible for those dates is really helpful. Um, the next one being not submitting all the required documents correctly. So again, everyone has very different situations, and I know there were quite a few questions about what kind of documents you need to provide. Um, it's really difficult to advise individually because people have different documents and different situations. So the sort of key things we always need is a birth certificate and a proof of ID. That varies on what people can provide and what's needed. So I read through the guidance and check with that. I know we did have a question about passport validity. So if a passport is valid, it has to be valid at the point that we process your application. If you've got 3 months, 6 months left on it, and as long as it's valid when we process your application, that would be fine. We can't obviously accept out of date documents. So that would be something that would delay an application. Um, for documents that require certification have not been certified by an appropriate person. This is something we get. So, for example, your ID documents would need to be certified. That can be done by a solicitor. It can be done at the post office. It can be done by legal executives. There's a list in the guidance of who can do that. So just making sure that you've gone to the correct person and that that is correctly certified as well with all of the right details. It says exactly what we need it to say on that guidance. So it's all really in there. Supporting documents arriving separately. I think that's quite self-explanatory. We obviously get a large number of applications. We have a lot of pharmacy technicians on our register. So making sure that they all come together so that they're not confused, there's not a delay in matching them up, would be really, really important. And then the last one is countersigning. Pharmacist or pharmacy technician does not accept your request or does not countersign your application in good time. So it is your responsibility as a technician to make sure that they are doing that in a good time because it can delay, it won't let you move on to the next step of your application. The final thing that's not on here that I want to discuss as well is if you have a something to declare. So we have a page on our website sort of dedicated to making a declaration. So this is a section where if you had a health or conviction, caution, anything like that that needs to be declared, that can also delay an application because we would need to look into that further before at the point of registration. So I just thought that's worth mentioning briefly. There's a page about that on the website and it's mentioned in the guidance also. Um, so yeah, that's everything